Salutations everybody, it is Matty here, and today we are going over some of the information that's come out about the patches announced a few weeks ago for Fallout 76. Pete Hines broke his Twitter silence after about 11 days, saying that the first article in their Inside the Vault series is up with upcoming info on patches, additions, etc. for this game. So we're going to be going over all that today. I'll give my general thoughts on it, and then there's a little bit more information about the communication between BGS devs and fans that I also want to highlight. Let's start off at the top with the Bethesda net post, which I will have linked in the description down below. A huge thanks to all of you who have been playing Fallout 76 and embarking on this journey with us. Millions of you are playing the game and playing it a lot. We love hearing your stories and sharing your photos and fighting alongside you in the quest to rebuild Appalachia. As we continue to read your feedback and watch your streams, we understand there are also a number of frustrating issues. That's putting it lightly. We want you to know that we're committed to rolling out fixes and features on a regular basis and implementing changes based on your feedback. We also continue to work on an incredible list of updates for the game, including new quests and events, new vault openings, a faction-based PvP system, and much more. We're confident with your support, we can make Fallout 76 an incredible experience for years to come. Hold on, hard pause right there. Bethesda, I'm begging you, please stop tying buzzwords to anything update patch related. An incredible list of updates. That's not what anyone wants to hear about the game. Okay, moving on. Upcoming patches. We're eager to get the improvements for Fallout 76 into your hands as soon as we can. Even though we're sharing some patch dates with you, please keep in mind that the timing may shift based on a variety of reasons, like server stability or other needs. If anything changes, we'll be sure to let folks know here on the official website and our social media channels as we get closer to each release. So we'll start off with the one closest to us, December 4th, 2018. This is one that I imagine a lot of people who actually own the game and are playing it are looking forward to. It says next week's update will bring an increase to the stash limit, as well as a variety of performance and stability improvements, balance changes, and multiple bug fixes to the game. We'll have full patch notes available later this week ahead of Tuesday's update. Some notable issues being addressed in this update include the stash limit increase. We know many of you have been asking for an adjustment to the stash storage limit, and we're happy to share we're increasing it from 400 to 600. While this is somewhat conservative, we plan to increase the storage cap further once we verify that this change will not negatively impact the stability of the game. Next is boss loot. Players should correctly receive 2 to 3 items after taking down a boss, depending on the creature's difficulty and levels. So the bosses are the enemies with the little crown next to their health bar, if you didn't know. Cryolator effects. Players hit with the cryolator are now chilled, frosted, or frozen depending on how many times they are hit. The duration of movement speed reductions applied by these effects have also been decreased from 2 hours to 30 seconds, okay? Respawning when over-encumbered. We resolved an issue affecting players who die while over-encumbered that only allowed them to respawn at Vault 76. Now over-encumbered players will be able to respawn at the nearest discovered map marker, and then stuck in power armor. We've addressed an issue in this patch that could cause players to become stuck inside power armor. We're also aware that there are some additional cases where this can occur, and we are actively investigating them. So let's talk about some of the stuff they are adjusting. I can't help but look at this list of patch notes and just scratch my head a little bit, like the boss loot, that we're not receiving 2 to 3 items after taking down a boss. How is this something that's just being fixed? How is the cryolator effect at a timer of 2 hours at a start value and not 30 seconds? The reason I ask these questions is because I look at something like the boss loot and I think deep on it, okay, we had the beta, we also had, I imagine, very minimal testing come from Bethesda Game Studios, and no one realized in this slightly new mechanic added to the game, hey, we're going to put boss enemies at the end of some of these locations, give the player some extra loot, get them excited to kill something different, that they didn't realize it wasn't dropping the extra loot and it was just doing the same thing as any other standard enemy. When you include the beta and now multiple weeks after launch, it's something that is so minimal and is just being fixed now. It's terrifying. And I have more to say, more to ramble on about, which I'll get into in a little bit, but let's just finish up going over all the patch notes. December 11th, 2018. Next update after December 4th is currently planned for the following week. Like previous patches, it will include a variety of bug fixes, but we're also planning to bring some more notable changes and features to the game. You can catch a preview of these improvements below, and a full list of changes will be included in December 11th's patch notes. So there are the PC additions, a push-to-talk setting for voice chat, huge, 21:9 resolution support, and a field of view setting are all being implemented on PC with this update. After level 50, you'll be able to choose between a new perk card or moving a special point you had previously allocated. camp placement on login. Your camp will no longer be automatically blueprinted and stored if someone is occupying your location when you log into the server. Instead, you'll receive a notification that your space is occupied. If you decide to find a new home for your camp on that server, it will be free to do so. However, if you don't place down your camp, you will be able to switch to a new server where that spot is vacant and your camp will be fully assembled and waiting for you. Lastly is Bulldozer. This is a new camp feature that allows you to remove small trees, rocks, and other obstructions so it's easier to create and place your camp when and where you want it. You can also bulldoze to clear these items from the surrounding area to make your camp feel more like home. Alright, so it's good and all that there are some complaints being addressed here. I'm not going to go ahead and ignore that, but for example, I take a bit of issue with special respecking where you can't just maybe go to Vault 76 and respec your character entirely, but instead every time after you level up you get to move one special point off of something and onto another. I'm not entirely sure how I feel about this. Is it so that players can't just switch on the fly for specific quest reasons or endgame content? That I'm a bit unsure of, but I gotta say I feel that the special respecking could have been handled in a better manner. So now for those who really want to adjust their character, I have a friend who completely screwed up his build. He's gonna have to level up a ton before he can actually legitimately respec his character, and even then he's going to be unsure if that was the right way to go. Furthermore, each of these patch notes says there's going to be a variety of bug fixes, performance and stability improvements. This is just a situation where I'm not going to buy into these words anymore. I'll believe it when I see it, okay? Because the last patch came out, it was huge, and the game ran worse, personally for me and many others, afterwards. Bethesda is aware of that size. They say, we know the size of our previous patch on November 19th was very large, and downloading it was a frustrating experience for many of you, especially those who primarily play Fallout 76 on consoles. We hear you, and we're working to reduce our patch sizes going forward so that you can get back into the game as soon as possible on patch days. The last thing I do want to highlight, which is something I feel all of us can be generally positive about, is that alongside these patch notes, Bethesda Game Studios did make a post on Reddit, which is now currently at 1.32 million views as I record this video, which is a lot of attention for this game. Whether people want to watch this train wreck or they actually genuinely care about the game, I cannot gauge through that view count, but it's still a lot nonetheless. What Bethesda Game Studios had to say was interesting because they highlighted communication moving forward. We know you're frustrated and angry at the state of things right now, whether it's the issues you're running into in the game or the lack of communications about fixes, updates, or news. To be clear, this account is run by us, Bethesda Game Studios community team. Yesterday we posted to let you know that we're still here gathering your feedback and, more importantly, working to get info from the team that we can share. We didn't want you to think the silence meant nothing was happening. We're sorry and understand this was not the right approach, and we'll work to make a better bridge between you and the dev team at BGS. So I think that's something we can all be a little happy about. It doesn't fix everything by any means, so don't misinterpret me, but I just think any type of communication between the gamer and the dev gets problems addressed a little bit quicker, it gets things moving faster. I think there's a mutual understanding between the gamer and the developer at that point in time, and I think that's good for anybody with any game, Fallout 76 included. As I ponder more about this game and think deeper into these patch notes, there's one thought that continuously crosses my mind, and it's that we, the gamers, were the people who bug tested Fallout 76. I refuse to believe this game was tested extensively before it launched out of the studio. I know they put out a letter letting us know how buggy this game would be, but still, this is completely unacceptable. I mean, I cannot believe this is the studio that built Skyrim, that built Fallout 3, and this is what's happening. It is still yet to really fully process how much of a travesty this is. I would have loved for this game to actually ship working on launch, even if it meant that the title had to be delayed, which none of us would have argued, even back before the beta. Because I would have loved to be at this point now and talking about, hey, what are we experiencing next? But instead, we're talking about stash limit increases. We're talking about boss loot being adjusted. Stuff that should have been happening at launch. That is just continuously what echoes in my mind every time I read these patch notes. So I'm sure this is great news for a lot of folks, but for me, I just can't be excited about this type of stuff. I simply cannot. So as a Bethesda news channel to an extent, I wanted to make sure I kept all of you updated on the latest happenings of Fallout 76. So let me know what you think about this patch. Fire away in the comments down below. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook. Those links are in the description down below, along with my Patreon. Do consider supporting that as it fuels all the content I create here. Stay sexy, stay active. I love you all. Peace.